right, first of all, I want to thank Joe Willie Souza. He is with the Golden Isles Broadcasting Company. If you don't know, that's Magic 105.9 and 104.1 The Wave. He is the Director of Community and Economic Development. Sometimes Mr. Neal's brain goes a little faster than his mouth. All right, and did I misspell something? Okay, good. I just want to make sure I didn't misspell something. All right, it is a pleasure to have him today. He has been in the radio business for as long as I've known him, and that's probably going on 35 years, possibly.
Oh, damn.
At one time, he was kind of my boss when I used to broadcast the Brunswick High radio games. I think you were at the station then. You were kind of a do-all guy. You've done everything I could think of in the radio business.
Pretty much.
You know, one of the things that I've emphasized to y'all all year long is we wanted to get a larger social media imprint, and we've been inviting these speakers to come talk to us because I know the term graphic communications. A lot of times people associate the word graphics first and think that's all we do, but really we're in the communication business. That's what we really are in, is communication business. I've, over my lifetime, have worked in print media, radio, and television. So I have kind of seen the emphasis on communications, and I promise you some of the stuff that I learned in print media applied to the radio and the TV. Some of the things I learned in TV, I was able to adapt and refit to my message that I was trying to create in print media. So being able to switch mediums, all right? So I'm going to turn it over, let Joe talk to you a little bit. Hopefully, maybe somebody might want to end up working in the radio business one day that's in here, and we'll go from there. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. Thank you all for having me this morning. Give you all a little personal history. My real name is Jose Lel Souza, which is Portuguese. My parents came here from Portugal, and my brother and I were both born here. So when I got in radio, I didn't think that was a real good radio name, especially when they put me on a country station. So I started looking through the music we played and trying to figure out a name. So I went through the list of, everybody. I'd go like Joe Daniels, Joe so-and-so. So I got to Willie Nelson. I said, Joe Nelson. I thought, no, that doesn't sound right. So then I thought, Joe Willie. So I tried that, and the people in the radio station, they liked the way it sounded. So I used that for about 10 years. Then I realized that a very famous Joe Willie was out there, Joe Willie Namath. I didn't even think about that. But anyway, so that's been my name most of my radio career. When I left here and went to Augusta, we were a rock station. I was doing mornings there. And it was a very hard-charging radio station, and they wanted something different, so I became Joe Mama. So I was Mama in the morning. And then I had a partner named Doug the Wolf Boy, and we became the Rude Dogs. So we were probably a little bit ahead of our time. New owners came in, we were fired, and that's kind of what happens in radio. So anyway, another point in my life, I became Wampus. That was in Columbus, Ohio, because they already had a Joe Mama. And so somebody came up with that name, and that's what I used. So anyway, I've been in radio. Give me number 7 up there. That should be a picture. That's my very first live broadcast. The thing in front of me is what we actually played music on at the time. We actually played music at live broadcast, and those are records. So that was at King's Colonial Ford. That's still there. I'm still here. And that's what live broadcasts looked like back in that day. Started in radio as a night person. Did that for about a year. I really didn't know what I was doing. I was putting people on the air. I was doing crazy voices, impressions. I started in high school doing stand-up comedy. I used to impersonate the principals at school, famous people. And so that's kind of how I got in the business. And I did all that at night, and apparently I was doing a morning show at night. I didn't know that. One day the general manager came to me after being on about a year, and he said, have you ever thought about doing mornings? Well, mornings that's like the place to be in radio. That's like the most listeners, that's where you want to be. And I said, yeah, one day I want to do that. He said, fine, that'll be Monday. And I didn't know, I don't know how to do that. And so he said, I'll call you Saturday, I'll give you some tips. He used to be a morning guy years ago before he became general manager. So I started doing mornings. I've been doing mornings ever since. I don't know that I could do another shift in radio because mornings are a little bit different. So that's my background. I grew up right down the street from Mr. Neal in the south end of Brunswick. We're both south end boys, and we came out all right.
Yeah, and like I said, he was saying that morning in the radio business is kind of like prime real estate.
It is.
All right. Think about that as your live area within your printed piece. That's the focal point that you create. Remember how when you design a printed piece, you want a focal point, something that drives the viewer's eyes to your design. That's kind of your prime real estate in the printing business. All right. And television, I'm assuming the early evening is their prime.
Yeah, their prime 6 o'clock news.
Right. So you can see, even though he described prime in the morning, there's also prime in television and there's also prime in print media. So that's what I'm saying is, if you've worked in each one of those mediums, you kind of start seeing similarities of the understanding of how to communicate your message more effectively.
Exactly. I'm going to take a quick poll. I want to find out what you people listen to, okay? So who listens to 98.3? Is that anybody's favorite radio station? All right. Magic 105.9. Who listens number one to radio still in the car? Okay. All right. That's about the numbers. So just tell me what radio stations y'all listen to. 94.1. Okay. That's out of Savannah, right? The Beat. 101.5. Okay. That's out of Jacksonville. 104. Thank you, sir. 92.7. Anybody else?
I listen to Magic 105, man.
Okay.
I listen to all three of those.
Okay. A little bit of a variety. That's good. How do you listen to music nowadays? How do y'all listen to music? iPod, YouTube. Okay. Aux cord. Okay. All right. When I started in radio, this is what we played music on. Have y'all seen these? Your grandparents probably have some of these. These are called 45s. They spun at 45 RPMs. And that was what most radio stations played. So you would literally, when I was on the air, would have a turntable here and a turntable here. So you would talk, you'd put a record on here, play it, and as that record's going, as you call these, you would get the next one ready. So one thing about radio, you never want to have silence. That's called dead air. You never want to have that in radio. So there's always something going on. The bad thing about these, when I started, we had these and we also had albums, which are 33 and a third RPM. So what would happen is occasionally you would put one of these on and at 33 on the same record player. And then after you played that, you'd drop on one of these, and sometimes you would forget to change the speed. So I was brand new into country music. I didn't really know all the songs, so I put a song on. I had to go to the bathroom, so I ran down the hallway. I come back, and the record's about halfway over. It's about a 3-minute record. And it's playing like this. I didn't know it all sounded the same to me when it started. It was, one of those things. But that was one of the pratfalls when we played records. Believe it or not, records are making a comeback. I don't know if y'all know that or not, but a lot of people are now, in addition to recording CDs, sending music out by MP3 and some other ways, they're also releasing albums. People are spending big money on the devices that play these. I'm sure Mr. Neal probably has one from the 70s.
Yeah, and one of the reasons they are kind of trying to reintroduce is because people miss the album cover.
Yeah.
Because the album covers, there's some very iconic album covers. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And you kind of lose that with digital, and you kind of lose that. Now, another thing when he was talking about is having to play this and stuff, that was more of a manual sorting system and a manual filing system. All right, very time consuming. Now it's all digital.
All digital.
You know what I mean? So you need to understand when we're trying to teach you file management, all right? Because I know it would probably drive you crazy if you're looking for a certain clip of a audio and they didn't save it in the correct file and you got to go digging for it or looking for it or whatever.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So when I ask you to put your files in a specific place, and then 2 days later when I go to look for it, I say I don't have it, and you go, well, maybe I didn't save it in the right place. Well, you you're just making more work for me. All right? So understand that digital file management is very important, not only in print media industry, but the radio business.
Absolutely. When I started, the way we played the music, we had little cards, and all the songs were on a card as far as the name of the song, and that's how you figured out how to play music. Now, how many of y'all think that DJs just play whatever they want on the radio? Does anybody think that? Okay. People used to always think that. Well, we don't. The way they figured out, there's science behind this. They do research to try to figure out what are the most popular songs. And that's nationwide research. We'll look at markets like this, the demographics of this area. And so we'll try to figure out, okay, what are the top 10 songs? Those songs get played over and over and over. You'll probably hear about it. The most popular, what's the most popular song right now to y'all? Anybody? You probably hear that right now on your favorite radio station. The clean version, you probably hear that about every 3.5 hours. So, and the reason that happens is they're banking on the fact that you're not going to be listening to the radio station more than maybe 20, 30 minutes at a time. And the key is to play the most favorite music when you're listening. So that's why on any type of format, you're going to hear a lot of the same music over and over. If you listen to a radio station all day long, you're going to hear that song about every 3.5 hours. Okay? When we in the radio building are sick of the song, that's when you guys are just getting the song. And that took me a long time to figure that out. I'd play a song and I'd go, oh my God, I'm playing the song again. And that's when people were just hearing it. I'd play them a new song. I DJ weddings too, so I'd play a new song and no one knew the song. And that's kind of when I started figuring that out. So that's how we listen to music. When I started, we played records. From records, we went to these. This is a cartridge. It's like an 8-track tape player. I don't know if y'all ever remember 8-tracks. Mr. Pullen and Mr. Neal do, and I do. But what happened with this, radio would put music on these cartridges. And so we would record it in such a manner that when we hit the button, it instantly started. Once again, we go back to you never want dead air. So you hit the button, it would start. A few years later, we went to CDs. Everybody still has CDs. Some of y'all still have CDs, I take it, right? Okay. Then instead of just having CD players, we had a special CD player, and you had to have this little case. This would go into the unit and would slide back, and it would read the disc. Now, the reason we use this is you just put it on whatever song you wanted, and you'd hit the button, and it would start instantaneously. So that's how we listened to music. That's how we delivered the music to you on radio. Now everything is on hard drive. We have, years ago, the record companies, they send you music. So it's all about selling. The record companies send you the music, hoping that you'll like the new song and that you'll play it. And if enough radio stations play it, it becomes a major hit. And when it becomes a major hit, everybody's buying it and everybody's making lots of money. So they used to send the records. They used to send the CDs. Now we get all the music over the internet, usually WAV files, and then we integrate that into our computer system, and that's how the music is delivered to you. Now, how does radio get to you? Give me number one. I think that's right. One of the things radio does is bring people together. You see, we brought Trump and Hillary together in the studio. Radio brings people together. We listen, and the way it gets to you is interesting. We're in the studio. From the studio, we have microphones like the one I'm wearing, actually bigger microphones. We have a mixing board, and from that, it goes to the radio tower. From the radio tower, it comes to you, and that's how you get it at home on a radio. This radio is one of my favorite I have at the house. It reminds me when I was a child, my dad, told y'all earlier, my mom and dad were from Portugal. My dad on Saturdays would take a radio much like this one. Actually, it was a lot bigger back then. It didn't have the electronics. and they would get shortwave radio broadcasts from Europe, and he would listen to the ball games in Europe. That was way before satellite TV, way before you could watch the soccer matches from all over the world, football or whatever. But he would actually go Saturday mornings and listen to radio broadcasts. So at an early age, I was fascinated by that voice in the radio that was coming across the Atlantic to Brunswick, Georgia. And he's listening, and it was a big thing for him. And so that's how you listen to radio. The radio airwaves are all over the place. Bluetooth is the radio airwave. And that's all. You know, if you could see the airwaves, radio waves in the air, it would be fascinating. Probably kind of scary what's out there if you really think about it. One of the things that radio tries to be is relevant in your life. And that's been a key thing. People have talked about the demise of radio for several years. First, when TV came, there were several people saying radio was done.
Right. And I want to add something here, too. All right. We've all know about that hurricane that's kind of working its way to the coast and everything like that. I guarantee you right now, there's somebody evacuating their home and they're listening to the radio for their news reports and the updates. Because what happens a lot of time when we get into a catastrophe like this, these phones get overloaded and there's not enough signal. People can't get through and stuff like that. You can't run. There's not some guy sitting down there running a paper and then going, all right, here you go, here's the information. It's radio that fills that gap of emergency and everything like that. And there is I wish I could remember the gentleman's name, but he wrote a paper and did a lot of research on this, and he had a slogan, the medium is the message is the medium.
That's right.
All right? Print medium has certain strengths and weaknesses. Radio has certain strengths and weaknesses. Television has certain strengths and weaknesses. All right? And as a radio guy, they have to exploit their strengths and downplay their weaknesses. TV does the same thing. All right? Internet does the same thing. Social media is now a big part of, like I said, it has gone from a nice to have to must have for any business.
Oh, yeah.
And how I even got hooked up with the radio stations on my phone is I went to the website, downloaded an app, now I got it on my phone. All right? And so understand that every medium that you deal with in communications has its strengths and weaknesses, and I think he was emphasizing those strengths and weaknesses.
Oh, absolutely.
And I wanted to bring up that emergency thing because I remember years ago evacuating, and I listened to you all the way to the 8 hours it took me to get to Jessup. Because it was tailed bumper to bumper, all the way there. But we was able to listen to the radio and feel comfortable that we were getting the updates that we needed. Didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, that's a good point. Staying relevant. 93% of the population, they keep saying radio is going to end. Then satellite radio came out where you have to pay and you don't have commercials. That was going to end commercial radio. The computer, MP3, and YouTube, and everything else you listen to, that's going to be the end of the radio. Truth is, 93% of the population, y'all are a little bit different, but even your age, 93% of the population still listen. Can't do that and is supposed to turn it back in. That doesn't happen. Usually what happens, radio people will get a call, hey man, I got one of these books. How should I fill it out? And then the radio person tells them. So that's cheating, okay? The PPM monitors that are listening to what you're listening, they found one down, I think it was in Orlando. They found a really weird movement on it because it detects movement and how you're moving and all that. And it detected it had a strange movement. Well, they did a little investigation and found out that the person that had it, a friend of his worked at a radio station, he taped it to the ceiling fan and put it in his workshop at home and kept that radio station on. So it was showing that this person was listening to the radio station like 12 hours a day. And that thing's going, and so they detected, this motion is kind of weird. So they did a little investigation. They did that. Another guy put it on his dog and put the radio on in the house and put it on his dog. So this system doesn't really work either. There were a couple other ways they used to do ratings. They would actually call you at home. Okay? That's not going to work anymore. You know why? Because a lot of people don't have home phones anymore. How many of y'all still have home phones? Yeah, I don't have one. It's all cell phone. And so how do they reach you? They can a lot of times. Although the telemarketers have somehow figured out where I'm at. So that's how the ratings work. If one day you're listening to your favorite radio station, has this ever happened, and all of a sudden your favorite radio station is playing crap that you don't like, and you're going, what happened? Where's my radio station at? It's because it didn't have any ratings. And so they changed it. Bigger markets, this happens more than smaller markets like Brunswick. But if they don't have ratings, that means the advertising is not where it should be. So radio, commercial radio is all about making money. It's like newspaper. It's like most everything.
Yeah, and I'd like to add another story. I remember watching this, Billboard 100, you know, that type of thing. They changed the formula on how they, I guess, track that kind of stuff. And they went back and retrofitted the formula back. This way back in the late 80s, early 90s. And at that time, Garth Brooks was the big guy.
Oh, yeah.
Big dog. And he was getting all these ratings, never seen before, all that kind of stuff. And they retrofitted the new formula to Randy Travis and found out his numbers when he first broke was actually a little larger than his. And so it became an argument between all the record companies with Billboard magazine. How are they going to do this formula? And they had to come to a happy medium on how to do that. Because that kind of change in somebody's status could mean millions of dollars to somebody. And so, and then another thing that I don't even know if it's still an issue in radio is payola, where people get paid. They under the table play my song a little bit more often. And I know that rappers are supposedly guilty of this, of trying to pay payola to get their rap songs played on the radio more often. Now, I'm not trying to single out rap, but I just didn't know if you wanted to elaborate on that just a touch.
I'll talk about payola for a second. Payola is illegal. That is when the record, we told you the record companies send the records or however, they're in the business to get you to play their music. They have record reps who are basically salesmen. So when I was working in Augusta, from Brunswick, Georgia, I went up to Augusta and I was program director there. And record guys, we were what's called a rated market. We were reporting radio stations. So what we did musically went to Billboard magazine and those people, and they determined what number a song is on the charts. So their job, the salesman's job, is to get you to play the song. So they come to you and say, what's your name? What is it? Haley? Hey, Haley, I got this song by this new group that I really would love for you to play. And then Haley says, well, I've only got 30 slots to play this week. Each week, okay? So then I go, well, I'll tell you what, Haley, anybody playing this song, and this was still legal back when I was doing it a few years back. This is how you got around payola. So I would tell Haley, what we're going to do for anybody playing this song, we are going to pay 10 listeners' power bill so you can do a promotion around that. Or we're going to send you and 10 listeners to the Bahamas on a cruise because this band is playing on the ship. So then all of a sudden Haley figures out, I got this song that's okay, and this song that's okay, and so I'm going to put one or the other into that 30th slot. So which one do you think she's going to go with? Is she going to go with this person's song that's just a song, or my song that I'm sending her to the Bahamas? What's she going to do? She's going to go to Bahamas, right? And we used to do that all the time. They sent me to Santa Monica, California to see this band. That was, oh man, they were bad. But they had a song and I had a slot, and I played it. Played it for a couple weeks. It wasn't any bad. It wasn't any worse than anything else that I was getting in that week. So That's the payola thing. Before that, they would flat out pay. They would pay you. They would say, hey, if you play my record, I'm going to slip you $1,000 under the table. So that's where the payola thing. You don't really see that much anymore. They've really cleaned that up. Now the ratings mean money, and that's, radio stations sell advertising. That's another thing I do when I get off the air, is I go to businesses and try to get them to buy advertising. Like we're about to do a promotion with y'all on your haunted house. And we're going to, in exchange for promoting that, what we get out of the deal is we get tied into it. So it'll be GICA, and y'all still call it GICA, right? Yeah, GICA, I know there was an extra C added in there along the way. GICA and 104.1 The Wave present, or something like that.
And I'm going to jump in here real quick. So to my graphic art students, that means now every time we post something to YouTube, every time we print something out to hand out to middle schoolers that visit us or anything like that, we've got to have their representation, because that's why one of the reasons they're hooking up with us is so that we can help promote them and they can help promote us. All right, so understand that, because it happens sometimes when people are being co-sponsors or whatever like that, and then you forget to put their logo on the posters you send out. That's probably not going to make them too happy. All right?
Yeah.
So now we know we've got some of these things already in the works, so we're going to have to modify what we got going on.
Yeah, and we'll work out the details. He and I are going to talk about it later. So money. You go out and get advertisers. Advertisers want radio stations that people listen to. So we throw in all the tricks. Hey, 94% of y'all are still listening. We do everything we can to get people to advertise. Radio commercial costs on the average about $15 to $30 each time you hear it on the radio. So that kind of gives you an idea. If you do the math, you can probably figure out what a radio station's billing. And if they're not running many commercials, at the end of the day, at some point, they're going to change formats. Unless you do like 92.7, our newest station, which plays kind of 70s, 80s, oldies, it only plays 2 minutes of commercials at a time. Now, it'll do that 4 times an hour, but it's still only playing 8 minutes of commercials. So what does that mean? That means we have to get a higher rate per commercial as opposed to these that will play about 16 commercials an hour. So some big stations in bigger markets, they figured out that a lot of people switch stations when the commercials come on. So they literally try to figure out if Mr. Neal has a radio station and I've got a radio station, I'll be listening to him and try to figure out when he's playing his commercials, because I want to play my commercials first. The reason I want to play my commercials first is when I start playing commercials, you may go to his station, but then you're going to hear him play commercials and you're going to come back to me. First in, first out. That's a little bit of the process of what they try to think. All right, give me number 5. I forget what that is. How to get listeners. One of the things, rolling billboards. At that time, they had a character of me up on the billboard, and you'll see us in parades. You'll see us park the van at places where there's a lot of people driving by. Once again, it's just marketing our product. You'll see us on Facebook. Once again, marketing the product, getting the word out. Give me number 11, please, sir. I forget what that is. We do promotions. We try to do promotions that people will talk about. Years ago, I lost a bet with another DJ, and the bet was that I would walk naked down Alabama Avenue if I lost. People talked about this for 2 weeks. My dad called me up when he heard the promo the first time. He said, "Joe, you can't do that. You just your wife just had a baby. You'll lose your job. You'll go to jail." I said, "No, Pops, don't worry about it." So we did this about 2 weeks, so that I'd walk naked down Alabama Avenue. So when the time came, I had that trench coat on. It looked like I didn't have anything else on. But I pulled the dog out of the van, and the dog's name was Naked, so I walked naked down Alabama Avenue. To this day, people, as stupid as that is, to this day, people still talk about that.
Yeah, I want to run
You know, people still remember that.
In college, when we would do a fundraiser for a car wash, we would have somebody wear the billboard on the front and back, and then they would have shorts on underneath, but you couldn't see the shorts, and you would drop your pants down around your ankles, and you would say, "Please get your car washed so I can pull my pants up." Now that might have been, you know, a little sexual or anything. We didn't mean it to be, but like I said, it sure got people pulling up into that parking lot because it caught their eye. It was able to grab their attention and everything.
I was in a market. We didn't do this, but I was in a market where a radio station, they did kind of the same take. They got with, I think, the Shriners, and they had a big tent, and they had a topless car wash. Well, they had these really nice-looking gals in bathing suits out front waving at everybody. So then when you drove into the car, these big fat guys without shirts would come into your car. And then, you know, you were in on the jokes, and you would leave, and the radio station gave you a bunch of stuff, so you would leave, and you wouldn't tell anybody. So they made like piles of money over that. Once again, it's just trying to get people to remember. Personally, I've done a lot of fun stuff. If you ever get into business and radio, there's a lot of fun stuff you can do. Give me number 8. Give me number 8. You get to meet a lot of cool people, heroes. I don't know if any of y'all recognize that person, but that was one of my childhood heroes, Dusty Rhodes, the wrestler. He'd be like The Rock is today. That was just an ultimate thrill of mine to be able to meet one of those guys like that. And I did it through radio. Give me number 6. Remember when the Blue Angels came to town? My wife got to fly with them because of radio. They have a media slot, and she got to fly with them. That's actually me in 96. I got to fly with them in 96. And as far as we know, I think we're the only husband and wife morning duo that both have got to fly with the Blue Angels. Not everybody gets to do that. Every show they do, they pick 3 people in the community, and they get to fly. So do the math on how many shows they have and how many years they've been doing it. There's not that many people that got to do that. I did, and that's like just a huge thing. Number 12. It's Reba McEntire, Brooks and Dunn, and me in the referee shirt for some reason, backstage. So you do get to meet cool people, interesting people. Sometimes you're heroes. You do fun stuff in radio. The future of the business. The future of business is actually pretty good, I think. There's a lot of ways you can spend your advertising dollar. I don't know if y'all ever done this exercise or not, but I used to have my salespeople identify how many ways you can spend your advertising dollar in this town. And 5 years ago, there were, I think, about 70 different ways to do it. And that's everything from radio to doing digital ads to doing geofencing on the internet, billboards, placemats at a restaurant, the little advertisements that people will buy in one of these discount cards that you find in the school. I think y'all sell some ads and some of the stuff y'all do.
Right. We sell, and they have discount cards at Glen Academy, Red Terrace,
Yeah. At the end of the day, and this is what you have to remember in advertising, at the end of the day, there's a big pie of money. And it doesn't usually get any bigger unless more businesses come in. And after every year, certain businesses close, new businesses come in. So the advertising pie stays the same. So you want to, by staying relevant, by staying people aware of what you're doing, you try to get your share of that money. So if you've always been getting $5,000 a month from a client, which is pretty good in this market, then you want to keep getting $5,000 a month. And so, but there's always somebody new coming in to try to get that advertising dollar. So it's a challenge. It is a challenge. So that's one of the things the radio has to deal with. But I think our future is good. How many people read the newspaper every day? And I hate to go after the newspaper, but this makes a point.
Mostly an old
Okay? I kind of read it. Do y'all read it, the paper version or online?
paper version online.
Paper version. Okay, I read it online, so I don't look at the ads. Now, I do look at the ads because of my business, but when I'm just reading the paper, I don't look at the ads. So, once again, there's newspapers are having a hard time right now because people aren't reading newspapers like they used to. TV stations are having problems. How many people sit down and watch a live show on TV anymore? Okay. What? Anything. So yeah, wrestling is good. Anything live on TV at that moment, like you make an appointment at 9 o'clock, or sports. I watch it for sports. I watched the game last night a little bit.
Can I add a little something?
Yeah,
to that?
absolutely.
I don't want to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
One of the things that they've done is they've actually changed the standard time of a TV commercial. It used to be a little bit longer. They've shortened that up. And the reason they shortened that up is because when people are watching television, half the time they're on their digital device and they're really not paying attention to the television, so they had to shorten the length of commercials to hopefully get that attention off that digital device in your lap and have you watch what you're watching on television.